Hi, I'm sure you're eagerly waiting for the economics class. Did you all enjoy your holidays? You had a long break. So, what did you do during your holidays? You would have visited your friends, your relatives. Maybe some of you must be thinking, Miss, we are just enjoying. It's a very, very long holiday from June. It is not only in December. We are at home from June and it is a very lengthy holiday. We are just waiting to come to school. Okay, let's hope that we meet very soon in our school campus. Today we are to see the sixth chapter, distribution analysis. So far we have finished 5 chapters. We studied about microeconomics, consumption, production. Then we studied about the demand, the supply, the market structure. And now we are going to learn about distribution analysis. This is your sixth chapter found on page number 121. Distribution. Have you heard this word? Yes, several times in the classroom. Miss might say, distribute the classwork. Gomati, come and distribute the assignment papers. Or sometimes you will come and ask, Miss, I will distribute the papers, Miss. Give the answer scripts to me, I will distribute it. So what do you mean by distribution? Distribution accounts for the sharing of the notebook to the students concerned. So you're distributing or you are giving away the notebooks to the owner or the answer scripts to the owner. So similarly, what does distribution mean in economics? So for any production, we have the factors of production. What are the factors of production? Or how many factors of production are there? There are 4 factors of production. What are they? Land, labor, capital, and organization. Without these factors of production, we cannot produce any good or commodity. So what does distribution have to do with production? When these factors are involved in the production processes, these factors must be given some reward. So what is the reward? If you see this diagram here, we have the households and the firms. The firms need the factors of production. What are the factors of production? The firms need land, labor, capital, and organization. So the firms, they take the factors of production from the household, and after producing the goods, they give the finished commodities to the households. And at the same time, they have to pay the reward, such as for land they have to give rent, for labor they have to give wages, for capital they have to give interest, and for the entrepreneur they have to give profit. So these are the factor incomes. So for production, we need the factors of production. The factors of production are land, labor, capital, organization. So when these factors of production produce certain commodities and when they get the revenue must be distributed among the factors of production as factor incomes. So what are the factor incomes? Rent, wages, interest, and profit. Land gets rent. Labor gets wages. Capital receives interest, and the leftover, the balance, is called as the profit, which is for the entrepreneur. So this is only called as distribution. Hope you understood the term distribution. So what do you mean by distribution? There is a definition in your textbook. It is given by Chapman. Distribution accounts for the sharing of wealth produced by a community among the agents or owners of the factors which have been active in its production. So the factors of production are active active in the production process. So, the wealth must be shared. The wealth which has been got through production must be shared among the agents or owners of the factors of production. This is only called as distribution. So the factors of production, namely land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur or organization, are involved in production. The theory of functional distribution deals with how the relative prices of these factors of production are determined. The theory of factor prices is popularly known as the theory of distribution. So, how the factors are given the remuneration or how the factors are assigned the prices, this theory only is called as the theory of distribution. The interesting aspect here is in the fact that large number of ideas has emerged and various factors have been identified by the economists contributing to the development of economic science. Now we have a large number of factors. So the basic factors are land, labor, capital, and organization. So what do you mean by distribution? Distribution means division of income among the four factors of production in terms of rent to landlords, wage to laborers, interest to capital, and profit to entrepreneurs. So what do you mean by distribution? Suppose if they ask, what do you mean by distribution? That is the 21st question. What is meant by distribution? You have to write this answer. Distribution means division of income among the four factors of production in terms of rent to the landlords, wage to the laborers, interest to the capital, and profit to the entrepreneur. So what are the kinds of distribution of income? There are two kinds of distribution of income. This is your 22nd question. What are the kinds of distribution of income? There are two types. One is called as the personal distribution and the other one is called as the functional distribution. So what are the types of distribution? Distribution is of two types. What are they? One, functional distribution, and the other one is called as the personal distribution. 22nd question. Mention the types of distribution. For this, the answer will be 1, personal distribution, and the second one is functional distribution. You just have to mention the types of distribution. So what do you mean by personal distribution? Personal distribution relates to individual persons and their income. So personal distribution relates to individual persons and their incomes. So personal distribution is the distribution of national income among the individuals. ஒரு இண்டிவிஜுவலுக்கு என்ன இன்கம் கிடைக்குது, ஒவ்வொரு இண்டிவிஜுவலுக்கு அவங்களுடைய எஜுகேஷன், அவங்களுடைய வேலை, அவங்க எவ்வளோ படிச்சிருக்காங்க, அவங்க எவ்வளோ நேரம் உழைக்கிறாங்க, அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி அவங்களுக்கு என்ன கிடைக்கும், வருமானம் கிடைக்கும். So this is the personal distribution is the distribution of national income among the individuals. So that is the first part. What is the second type of distribution? It is called as the functional distribution. What do you mean by functional distribution? Functional distribution means the distribution of income among the four factors of production, namely land, labor, capital, and organization for their services in production process. So, functional distribution means the distribution of income among the factors. How many factors are there? 4 factors. Land gets rent, labor gets wages, capital receives interest, and organization profit. The distribution of income among the 4 factors of production is called as functional distribution. Did you understand the kinds of distribution of income? Okay. Next, the most important theory, the marginal productivity theory of distribution. Marginal productivity theory of distribution. This is supposed to be the oldest and the most significant theory of factor pricing in the marginal productivity theory. This is the most significant and the oldest theory of distribution, the marginal productivity theory of distribution. This theory was developed by Clark, Wickseed and Walras. So what does this theory say? This theory explains how the prices of various factors of production are determined. So this theory says how the factors of production are given the factor incomes. We cannot just divide the the total revenue into 4 and give all the factors of production equal amount of income. It cannot be done like this. இப்போ ஒரு இடத்துல நம்ம வேலை செய்யறோம்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, 1000 ரூபாய் கிடைக்குது. 1000 ரூபாயும் 5 பேர் வேலை செஞ்சா 5 பேருக்கு ஈக்குவலா டிவைட் பண்ணி 200 ரூபாய் கொடுத்துருவாங்களா? இல்ல. முதலாளி பாப்பாரு யார் நிறைய வேலை செஞ்சாங்க, இவங்க நம்பர் 1 உடைய கான்ட்ரிபியூஷன் எவ்வளவு, நம்பர் 2 உடைய கான்ட்ரிபியூஷன் எவ்வளவு, நம்பர் 3 எவ்வளவு, நம்பர் 4 எவ்வளவு, நம்பர் 5 எவ்வளவு. 1 நிறைய வேலை செஞ்சிருந்தா 1க்கு 500 ரூபாய் கொடுத்துருவாங்க. 5வது பர்சன் வேலையே செய்யலன்னா அவருக்கு 50 ரூபாய் தான் தருவாங்க. எல்லாருக்கும் 200 ரூபாய், 5 பேர் வேலை செஞ்சு 1000 ரூபாய் வந்தா எல்லாருக்கும் 200 ரூபாய் கொடுத்தா அது நியாயமா? இல்லையே. ஒருத்தர் எவ்வளவு கான்ட்ரிபியூட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க, ஒருத்தருடைய ப்ரொடக்டிவிட்டி எவ்வளவோ அதுக்கு ஏத்த மாதிரி தான் இன்கம் கொடுக்க முடியும். So this theory explains how the prices of various factors of production are determined. This theory explains how rent, wages, interest and profit are determined. This theory is also known as the general theory of distribution. Why is it called as general theory? This theory can be used to determine the rent, determine the wages, determine the capital interest and determine the profit. So this theory can be used for all the factors of production. That's why it is called as the general theory of distribution or national dividend theory of distribution. So this theory has got 2 names, general theory of distribution or national dividend theory of distribution also. According to the marginal productivity theory of distribution, the price or the reward for any factor of production is equal to the marginal productivity of that factor. This is what I tried to explain with the example. I said 5 people are working and they are getting 1000 rupees. It doesn't mean that 1000 rupees will be divided among 5 and given 200, 200, 200. It is not like that. Here it clearly states the reward is given based on the marginal productivity. If the first person's marginal productivity is more, the first person is given more income. If the 5th person is contributing less or the marginal productivity of the 5th person is less, then he will be given a lesser portion of the income. So the prices or the reward of any factor of production is equal to the marginal productivity of that factor. In short run, each factor is rewarded according to the marginal productivity. So in the short run, each factors of production will be rewarded according towards marginal productivity. So as already mentioned several times, in economics, all theories have assumptions. Without assumptions, we cannot prove any economic theory. So what are the assumptions for this marginal productivity theory of distribution? All the factors of production are homogeneous. Now you know what do you mean by homogeneous? Similar. Factors of production can be substituted for each other. If one factor is not able to work, other factor can be substituted because they are all homogeneous. எல்லாமே ஒரே மாதிரி இருக்கிறதுனால ஒண்ணு இல்லைன்னா கூட அடுத்தது சப்ஸ்டியூட் பண்ணி வேலை நடந்துட்டு இருக்கும். There is perfect competition. There is perfect mobility of factors of production. There is full employment of factors. Perfect mobility of factors of production means factors can move from one occupation to another. Full employment, all the factors are used to the fullest level. The theory is applicable only in the long run. This theory can be used only in the long run. The entrepreneur's aim is profit maximization. What is the aim of the entrepreneur? His aim is to get the maximum amount of profit. There is no government intervention in fixing the price of a factor. ஃபேக்டருக்கு கொடுக்கப்படுகிற வெகுமதியை வந்து ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்றது அந்த தனி நபர் தான். கவர்மெண்ட் இதுல இன்டர்ஃபியர் பண்றது இல்ல. There is no technological change. The technology remains the same. Next, let us see what is meant by marginal physical product, MPP. இந்த 3 இது நீங்க நல்லா படிச்சுக்கணும். ஏன்னா 2 மார்க்ஸ்ல கூட கேட்கலாம். What do you mean by MPP or what is meant by VMP? Write a note on MRP. So separately also they will ask, or they can ask even as a 3-mark question. So first one, marginal physical product. The marginal physical product of a factor is the increment in the total product obtained by the employment of one additional unit of that factor. So what do you mean by marginal physical product? Marginalனாலே என்னது? இன்க்ரிமெண்ட். மார்ஜினல்னாலே என்னது? இன்க்ரிமெண்ட். இப்போ முதல்ல ஒரு ஆள் வேலை செய்யறாரு, அவர் 5 மூட்டை அரிசி உற்பத்தி செஞ்சிருக்காரு. ஒரு ஆள் 5 மூட்டை அரிசி. That is the total product. One person has given 5 bags of rice. இப்போ second person வந்த பிறகு 7 bags of rice are produced. First person 5, second person 7. So what is the increment in the total product? 2. That is only called as the marginal physical product. So the marginal physical product of the factor is the increment in the total product obtained by the employment of one additional unit of factor. First one person was working, he produced 5 bags of rice. Now the second additional unit, one more person has been employed, but the total product is 7. So the marginal physical product is the difference or the increment in the total product. Were you able to understand? So the marginal physical product of a factor is the increment in the total product obtained by the employment of an additional unit of that factor. Next is value of marginal product. What do you mean by value of marginal product? VMP. The value of marginal product is obtained by multiplying the marginal physical product of the factor by the price of the factor, or the price of the product. Price of the product. I repeat, the value of marginal product is obtained by multiplying the marginal physical product of the factor by the price of the product. So already I have explained what is MPP. So MPP into the price of the product will give you the value of marginal product. Next is marginal revenue product. Marginal revenue product, MRP. So the marginal revenue product of a factor is the increment in the total revenue. Here it was the increment in the total product. Here it is increment in the total revenue, which is obtained by the employment of an additional unit of that factor. So MRP can be found out by multiplying MPP into MR. What is MPP? MPP is marginal physical product into MR. So 3 important concepts I have introduced here. Marginal physical product MPP, value of marginal product VMP, and marginal revenue product MRP. The next one is marginal productivity under perfect competition. So here we are going to study under 2 heads. One is marginal productivity under perfect competition, and the other one is marginal productivity theory under imperfect competition. In the 5th chapter, we have studied about the perfect competition and imperfect competition. So here we have 2 diagrams, marginal productivity under perfect competition and marginal productivity under imperfect competition. First, let us see this. Marginal productivity under perfect competition. So here we have the graph. On the x-axis, we have plotted the factor units. Factor units means land or labor or capital or organization, anything you can take. So factor units. Here we have the factor pricing and the revenue of the product. We have the factor price and the revenue. X-axis represents factor units. Y-axis represents the factor price and revenue product. AFC is a horizontal straight line under perfect competition, and MFC coincides with it. What is AFC? Average fixed cost. MFC, marginal fixed cost. Here, since it is a perfect competition, we have already seen in the third, fourth chapter, perfect competition, AR curve, MR curve, AC curve, MC curve. We have seen all that. So based on that, in a perfect competition, the AFC curve and the MFC curve are horizontal straight line parallel to the x-axis. So I repeat, AFC is a horizontal straight line which is parallel to the x-axis. MFC is also a horizontal straight line parallel to the x-axis. That's why AFC curve and MFC curve coincide with each other. So this is your AFC curve. Okay. This is your AFC curve. It is a straight horizontal straight line parallel to the x-axis. If I ask you to draw, MFC is also here only. This is the MFC curve. So both the curves coincide with each other. That's why we write MFC is equal to AFC. Why is it like this? Because it is a perfect competition. Then you have two more curves, the ARP curve and the MRP curve. The ARP is the red color curve, ARP curve, okay, and you have the MRP curve, ARP and the MRP. What do you mean by ARP? Average revenue productivity and marginal revenue product, or product also you can say, productivity or product. When there is perfect competition in the factor market means you have the factors. What are the factors of production? Land, labor, capital. Okay. So these are the factors of production and organization. So in the factor market, you have the factors of production. So here in the factor market, there is perfect competition. When there is perfect competition in the factor market, the firm is in equilibrium only when MFC is equal to MRP. So this is the condition for equilibrium. This is the first condition for equilibrium. What is the condition? MFC curve must be equal to MRP curve. So where is the MFC curve? This is the MFC curve. So where is the MRP curve? Blue color is the MRP curve. So this point is called as the equilibrium. It is marked with the alphabet Q. So Q is the point of equilibrium. Q is equilibrium. At this point, MRP is equal to ARP also. So at this point, what happens? MFC is equal to MRP and MRP is also equal to ARP. புரிஞ்சுதாமா? இந்த ஒரு பாயிண்ட்ல எல்லாமே இந்த இடத்துல டச் ஆகுது. MFC is equal to AFC, அதுவும் இங்க இருக்குது. MFC is equal to MRPயும் ஈக்குவலா இருக்குது. MRP is equal to ARP. இந்த பாயிண்ட்ல எல்லாமே நடக்குது. This is the point of equilibrium. So at this equilibrium point, if you draw a line perpendicular to the x-axis, it meets the x-axis at N. So இந்த Qல இருந்து ஸ்ட்ரெயிட்டா ஒரு லைன் போடுறேன். அந்த லைன் வந்து x-axisல எந்த இடத்துல மீட் பண்ணுது? N இடத்துல மீட் பண்ணுது. So how much is the factor units? ON factor units. Factor units எவ்வளவு? ON. ON is the units of factors employed. How much is the price? OP is the price. So what is the price? OP is the price. How much is the factor units? ON is the factor units. ON factor units. What is the price? OP is the price. All that is given. So OP, இந்த இடத்துல OP இருக்கா? இதுதானே OP. OPக்கு parallel இந்த சைடு என்ன இருக்குது? ON இருக்கு. I'm sorry, not ON, NQ. இது வந்து Qல, இது வந்து Q. Okay. So OPக்கு parallel என்ன இருக்கு? NQ. அததான் இங்க எழுதியிருக்கோம். OP is equal to NQ is equal to price. OP is equal to NQ is equal to price. So what is your MRP? MRP எங்க இருக்குது? This is MRP. This is MRP. So your MRP is NQ. Your MRP is NQ. What is your ARP? ARP also touches the same place at Q. So ARP is equal to NQ. So beyond the point Q, no employer will employ the factors. So beyond this point, nobody will employ more factors. Why? Because after that point, the price paid to the factor is more than the marginal revenue product. So if you see this point, this is the price, okay? Beyond this, if you start employing factors, what happens? The price paid to the factor is more than the marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is here. This is the point of marginal revenue. இந்த கியூக்கு அப்புறம் மார்ஜினல் ரெவன்யூக்கு கீழே வர ஆரம்பிச்சிருது. ஆனால் காஸ்ட் எப்படி இருக்குது? மேலே இருக்கு. இந்த கர்வ் மேலே இருக்கு, இந்த கர்வ் எங்கே இருக்கு? கீழே இருக்கு. அப்போ காஸ்ட் ஜாஸ்தி ஆகுது, ரெவென்யூ கம்மி ஆகுது. அப்போ ஆண்டர்பிரினருக்கு இந்த பாயிண்ட்டுக்கு அப்புறம் என்ன வர ஆரம்பிச்சிடும்? லாஸ் வர ஆரம்பிச்சிடும். இங்க வரைக்கும் ப்ராஃபிட் வரும், இது வரைக்கும் ப்ராஃபிட். இங்க மார்ஜினல் காஸ்ட் இருக்குது, எம்ஆர்பி கர்வ் வந்து எம்ஆர்பின்னு இருக்குது, கீழே தான் இருக்கு. ஓகே, எஸ், ப்ரைஸ் இஸ் மோர். ஸோ இந்த பாயிண்ட்ல தான் மேக்ஸிமம் கிடைக்குது, எல்லாமே ஈக்குவல் ஆகுது. பியாண்ட் திஸ் பாயிண்ட் இஃப் யூ சி இட் ஃபால்ஸ் டவுன். தட் மீன்ஸ் த காஸ்ட் இஸ் மோர் but the revenue is less. இந்த சைடும் பார்த்தனா இங்கெல்லாம் cost is more, the revenue is less. So this is the point of equilibrium. Beyond Q, no employer will employ factors because after that point, the price paid to the factor is more than the marginal revenue product and the average revenue product. So beyond this point, nobody will employ the factors of production because the cost is more than MRP and ERP. So this is the marginal productivity under perfect competition. Next, we have to see the marginal productivity under imperfect competition. So let us stop with this. We'll take a break and then we will come back to marginal productivity under imperfect competition.